In 1890, Louisiana passed the Separate Car Act, requiring railroad companies to provide separate passenger cars for black and white travelers. The Communauté des Citoyens, or Committee of Citizens in English, a New Orleans group of black men who employed civil disobedience to challenge segregation laws, wanted to challenge the law's constitutionality. When Homer Plessy, a black man, was arrested for boarding a white-only passenger car, the committee helped him to appeal, and the case eventually reached the U.S. Supreme Court. On April 13, 1896, the court had heard arguments. Plessy argued that the state segregation law violated the 13th and 14th Amendments, which abolished slavery and established equal protection of the laws. On May 18, 1896, the U.S. Supreme Court released a 7-1 decision in Plessy v. Ferguson, holding that the state-mandated segregation in interstate travel was constitutional as long as the separate accommodations were equal. Justice Henry Brown wrote the majority opinion, which held that the Louisiana law did not violate the 13th or 14th Amendments because it did not interfere with an individual's personal liberty or freedoms. He claimed that the court could uphold the notion that all people are equal before the law in political and civil rights, but could not override social inferiority based upon the distinction of race. Justice John Marshall Harlan dissented, writing that the Louisiana law was in direct violation of the 13th and 14th Amendments, promise of protection of all civil rights related to freedom and citizenship. Justice Harlan specified that the law was a blatant attempt to infringe upon the civil rights of African Americans, and that the court inappropriately yielded to public sentiment at the expense of constitutional safeguards. He predicted the court's decision would lead to racial confrontation. Plessy v. Ferguson legally sanctioned racial segregation by establishing the separate but equal doctrine as national law.